Hello and welcome to Technical Utkranti. Today we are into the 8th video of the series of C programming. Okay, let's start with understanding statements in C language. There could be a simple statement, just a single line like z equals to some function being called and arguments being passed. There could be multiple statements which amounts to simple statements one after the other. And then there could be block of statements which is enclosed within curly braces. So block does not require to have a semicolon at the end. It can substitute for a simple statement. As you can see that there are no semicolons present after braces over here. As we know in C, semicolon is used to indicate the end of statement. Block also is a complete statement in itself. Let's see a few more properties of the block. A variable definition within the block has the scope within the block. When we declare functions in C language, we start them with curly braces. So we are definitely defining a block inside which the statements of the function will come one after the other, right? Now think about local variables. We think that local variables are the variables which are declared within the function, and that's why they are local, but it is actually the the block, the the space within those curly braces which is defining the scope of these variables and not the function. Okay, so let's see this with the help of a code. Suppose I declare this variable within a block inside the function itself. What happens then? We can see that when y is being used at line number 9, it cannot find the definition of this particular variable. Why? Because now we have included it within a block, we have included it within the curly braces, and that's why the scope of this variable got limited to this particular block. Now after understanding the statements, how can we write control conditions? Okay, that if something is true, do this, if something is false, don't do this, and so on. But in C we don't have boolean data types. Though in C99 version of C there is a standard library called stdbool.h which provides this data type. Anyways, here in C we have expressions, and these expressions could be evaluated to true or false. The expression, when it is non-zero, it means it is true, and when it is zero, it means it is false. Therefore expression has to be numeric or it can be a pointer. Let's check that using code and see this. So since this particular variable Raman I have already initialized it to 0, this will not print. If I, as you can see, nothing was printed. Let's go back. And make this to 1. Now you will find that it is printed. Okay, this is printed. The value of Raman is printed. Fine. Now will this work out, the pointer? Since pointer to a particular variable will always be a non-zero because it is actually holding the address of this particular variable, we should get this value printed. Let's compile and run. Yeah, now if I just make this pointer to null, now this will not be printed, as you could see. There are two constructs in which conditional statements could be written. One is the if else way and another is the switch statements. So let's look into the if else statements. So this is very simple. If we have already seen in the previous example, if the expression evaluates to true, then the inner body of statements executes. Then we have else, which take care of the otherwise part. When if is not true, then else, the statements within the else block will be executed. Similarly, else if is used to add additional alternative control paths into these conditional statements. Okay, so in such a scenario as shown over here, to which else does this if belong to? So as you can see that with the help I have two ifs. I'll make both of them true for now, and this inner loop will be printed. Right. Now if I make this one as false, then let's see if else is printed or not. It is not printed. But if I make the above if as true and this one as false, then this lower else should get executed. Yes. So we confirm that the else is associated with the latest if in the chronological order. Let's understand switch statement. So I have made the code over here, and we'll quickly see a few important points to remember while writing the switch construct. So this x, whatever we are using to condition the switch statement, should be an integer or a character. Character, because character is after all an integer only in ASCII format. Okay, then the entire piece of code comes under curly braces. If for multiple values of x the behavior is same, then we can write it like this. And break statement is used to come out of switch statement. Okay, so what will happen in case if you don't have break statements in the switch case? We'll see that as we move on to understand break and continue statements later on in the video. Now let's understand loop statements. So there are three kinds of loop statements: while, do while, and for loop. So loop statements are used to execute a given piece of code multiple times based on some conditions. While loop is the easiest loop which we have with this syntax, that there will be some condition and there will be the body of code, and evaluate body as long as the condition is true. So the condition is evaluated first. So if the condition is found to be false in the first iteration, then the loop body will not be executed even once. Let's over here we are trying to find the factorial of n, and there are three expressions inside the for loop, right? Okay, the first is initialization. This happens first. Of second is body inside check. So whatever is the body of code inside the for loop, that is executed, and then incrementation happens, right? And then again condition check will happen, and then body of loop execution of the body of loop will happen, then incrementation happen, then again condition check will happen, and this will go on until this condition is met, right? Okay, the above piece of code which we see could also be written in this format. The first expression is just executed once, so it could be used for initialization purposes. This is the condition check, so this could not be modified like very much, and this here the body of the loop can come. Okay, so this will also perform the same what the previous piece of code was doing. Okay, let's understand do while quickly. Failing this condition even in the first iteration, but since the body of the code body comes first, then the condition check, this particular piece of code will execute it at least once. as you can see. Let's move on to the final part of this video and understand break statement. So break statement takes takes the control of the code outside of the current loop, okay, or the switch statement. We have break statements. So here I have x equal to 1 and it will go here, and the break statement would finish the code execution. So we'll quickly see. The value is 1, okay. Now let's suppose I just remove break statement. What will happen? Here I have initialized x to 2, okay. So it should go over here also, because break statement is, when break statement is not there, it will execute all the cases which it can. And the continue statement. Continue statement is used to skip the current iteration. Okay, this particular I'm running these for loops for 4 iterations, and let's see if we can understand break and continue statement. So firstly, I'll do this break over here. So I am breaking if I is found to be 1 inside this inner loop. Okay. So G okay, we see that. So if you see the code over here, I am printing I comma j in the outer loop and I comma j in the inner loop, correct. What is printed? Upper loop is printed for 1 comma 1. Now as soon as it would have gone inside the inner loop, it would have checked I is 1 and it would have broken. So what happens with break, that the inner loop is completely skipped and the control goes directly to the outer loop, or it basically goes outside of the inner loop. If then I equal to 2 would have happened, and here 2 comma whatever j value is there, that will be printed. So I guess it will be 2 comma 1, yeah. And then inner loop also prints 2 comma 1, 2 2 2 3 2 4. Okay, now inner loop can only iterate till 4, but because now j's value will become 5, and then again it will come here, i's value will be 3. So firstly 3 comma 5 will be printed, and then 3 comma 1 3 comma 2 of the inner loop will be printed. So as you can see, upper loop 3 comma 5 and then 3 1 3 2 3 3 3 4. Similarly this will happen. So as we saw that the when I equal to 1 was there, inner loop did not get executed. Okay, now let's change that break statement with continue statement. Okay. Now the difference you should see is in the first two values. Here it is 1 1 and 2 comma 5 in the upper loop. Here it was 1 1 and 2 comma 1 in the upper loop. Why did this happen? The continuous statement did not lead to exiting of the inner loop. It only led to passing, like the lower part of the code was not executed, and it just jumped over here, incremented j, checked if the condition is still on, and then it again came over here, right. So whenever I was equal to 1, the j loop was executing, but the statements below continuous statements were not getting executed. I hope the difference between break and continue statement was clear. It is like when break is encountered, the control falls out of the inner loop directly over here, here, okay. And when continue statement is encountered, the rest of the statements of this particular loop are not executed. Only for the next iteration of the current loop, the control falls over there for the next iteration of the current loop. Okay, so what's up for the next video? In the next video, we're going to see functions, because now we have seen statements and how to write conditional statements, how to write loops, Now we look into functions and then modular programming. So thank you. Hit like as it motivates.